afternoon. I'm Leanne. I'm joined this evening by Bob, Dave, and the king of the legendary NFL picks, David.
Thank you.
Please put the
pregame
on his name.
Yes, please. Thank you, Leanne. Appreciate it.
His head barely fits on the screen as it is now.
Right. It's already like bobbling out. We are here tonight to do our preview of the upcoming Week 8 New York Giants versus the Pittsburgh Steelers Monday Night Football showdown. It's going to be a really interesting game. We really wanted to thank all of you that have taken the time to watch the show and drop comments because you kind of helped guide a decision for us. We were splitting our week and doing our recap show live and then doing our pregame show taped and releasing it on Friday morning. But we were getting so much positive feedback on the live show and the comments and the contributions and all of the things that coming from the people that we decided to switch both shows to live. So here we are, and we appreciate you. So how are you guys feeling about, well, to get into the game, specifically about the Giants game a little bit later, we have some other kind of topics to talk about first. So I want to hear how you guys feel about some of the news that's come out this week. We're still on wide receiver watch. For every wide receiver that takes oxygen in the league has somehow been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We did have some injury reports ahead of that Monday Night Football game. It is only Thursday, but Roman Wilson apparently dinged up his hamstring again. I don't know. The poor kid can't stay healthy. Deshaun Elliott's back is injured. I believe it might be from carrying the entire team on his back, but I'm hoping it's just a little something and he'll be fine for Monday night. We had Nick Herbig and Zach Frazier were also, did not practice today. Tyler Matakavich sounds like he's getting close to being ready to come back. He was limited today, as was Cordarrelle Patterson and Keanu Benton. I hope they're both, at least Keanu especially, is healthy by Monday night. And then we had KZ back as a full participant. Dante Jackson with his shoulder were all full participants. So let's talk a little bit about the wide receiver story. The Rams play tonight. They're playing the Vikings. David can tell us what that crazy spread was again, but they're not favored to win. The Rams are really struggling this season, and the predictions of a fire sale are running rampant. So the Steelers have been earmarked as possible trade target for Cooper Kupp. What do you guys think, Bob?
I understand the whole Cooper Kupp fascination, and I get it. He's a big name. But the thing I can't get past with Cooper Kupp is 41 games he's been eligible to play since his great season, 2021. He's played in 23. He's been hurt every single year. When he's on the field, is he a game changer? Could we make him into the wide receiver too? Yeah, probably. If you look, he catches most of his passes outside the numbers, even though he mainly plays the slot receiver. So I'm not saying he couldn't play out there. I'm saying that the risk of bringing in a guy who has one great game, two great games, and then we watch him languish on the bench for the rest of the season and wave bye-bye to our second-round pick, which I don't think in a million years Omar Khan would do. I don't see it. Would I like it?
Yeah. Willing to give. So I think, do we all agree that second round is unreasonable?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
So if we all agree second round's unreasonable, is there a pick that you'd be willing to give up for Kupp?
So for me personally, if I'm giving them a second, I would want Kupp and a fourth in return.
Yeah, they're not going to give a pick in return.
Yeah,
because
I think that's counterproductive to what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but the gamble's too much for the Steelers. This is a guy going to be 32 years old. He's been injury riddled for 3 seasons straight. I mean, that's a big gamble to give up a second round pick. I would want like a fourth pick in return. And the reason why I'd want a fourth pick in return is to cover the chance that maybe Fields does play 51% of the time for us. So now you'd have that kind of, that backup pick in case you do have to give up a fourth. That's the way I'm looking at this. But for the Steelers, I don't know. That's a lot big gamble. I'd want something in return with Kupp. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's a really good point, David. That fourth round pick, if Fields ends up playing 50% of the snaps, I think is limiting what we can do in trades.
It is a little bit, I'm sure. I mean, they can't trade the fourth, I assume, because it's kind of in play.
I did that.
Yeah. So, look, if it's a third round pick, I do this deal. I've become irrational when it comes to wide receivers with this team at this point. I can't take it anymore. Yeah. If that's all it takes is a third round pick to get a former Pro Bowler, realistically, we need him healthy for what? 8 games. Well, maybe 11 if we make a playoff run.
Yeah.
Just it's worth the risk
Maybe
to
that's
me.
a limited package thing too. Do you know what I mean? If we're feeling like we're good right now with Pickens and Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, do you know what I mean? Then maybe Kupp isn't your every down wide receiver out there blocking and, you know, catching and out there for every single snap. Maybe he's more of a special package guy or break glass in case of George Pickens' hamstring injury or something.
Oh God. Yeah, it's I think at this point too, we've gotten to the point where the options are limited, right? Who's left out there? Nobody wants to see Mike Williams, right? And nobody wants to see him as the option.
No, somebody who was
Renfro's out there.
Yeah,
Renfro, Christian
guys,
Kirk,
like
the names
guys,
here.
like if you're going to look at trades, I mean, you got Williams hasn't produced much. Thielen's on the IR, Bob. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You got Metcalf,
But
469 yards, 2
on his way
TDs.
back.
Just by the way,
Seattle's in first place. They're not trading Metcalf.
I'm just
No
saying,
way.
like, if you're going to make a move, you could try. But Darius Slayton's got 312 yards. We're going to be seeing him soon. He's only got 1 TD on the season because his quarterback is
Yeah.
Christian
he came
Kirk.
Up today from Bob Pompiani that he thought on
Did he?
on the Pony Show that he thought that was a viable
Yeah.
possible target.
As I was saying, Christian Kirk, he's got 320 yards a TD this season, but it's had bad quarterback play. I hate to say it, but Trevor Lawrence has not been good. Another one, Jacoby Myers. That's over there as far as I'm concerned. So he'd be another guy
I like
that
Jacoby
you could
Myers.
see.
That's a good name.
He is being, in my opinion, wasted so much with what's going on over there. Just like Devontae Adams, you know, like just it's just a waste. So he's one I would definitely go out. And we always get one over on the Raiders. Like it's just
Yeah, that's
every
why I don't
single
think they
time.
make a deal with us.
I mean, they're them and the Bears. Like if I were them, I'd never deal with the Steelers again. However, they tend to do it anyways. So like, hey, if I'd go get him, you could get a guy without giving up a second round pick that could have an impact. It doesn't take much considering what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't gotta go get the top guy. It'd be great. Don't get me wrong. But I'd rather you do something than nothing. And if that's what it takes, then go get one of these second-tier guys that you know will have the impact to help this team.
What about this? You think we have a shot at DK Metcalf? Do you think there's any chance the Cowboys are willing to give him up? I mean, it's intriguing. It's hard to pretend it's not intriguing, but I don't know that I see them letting him go.
Yeah, Seattle's in first place. They're not trading DK Metcalf.
I think a couple weeks back, maybe it'd be more of because now they got K9 back, but they lost the Giants. Was it 2 weeks ago? So it's like, man, they're definitely not like. It's not. They may be in first place, but it's more of a first place. Like, okay, sure.
It's like the Washington Commanders are sometimes in first place.
Right. So it's just one of them things. So you get, like he was saying, like you get Russ back with Metcalf. And he's got damn near the same stats as George Pickens. So now we're talking about having a legit wide receiver too. Damn near you could make, you could argue that he's wide receiver 1 as well, or 1A, if you will. So
I saw you. Just to interrupt 1 second. Sorry, David. Yinzer down south in the chat said, "What do we do if George Pickens gets hurt?"
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that on us.
Big time. Yeah, we'll try not to speak in that.
Lord. Yeah. Get my
Keep an eye on Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Deebo Samuel. If San Francisco loses one more game, I think they would want to move that contract.
They're in big trouble. I mean, they're gonna have to do something.
He's sick. He's got like
or is he the one with the illness? I know Ayuk's out for
flu or
season.
something. Or
Debo
so
had
he's
something.
not really hurt.
Who else?
Yeah,
I think
the
Kittle's
Steelers were
hurt.
close to acquiring him at the draft. Remember? There was a deal going down with San Francisco. Yeah, and everyone thought it was Ayuk,
something. There was something there. You're right. I don't know.
I think that's a good point about Debo. Yeah, I think it's a good point on Debo because Pearsall is back, and I think they want to see what he can do, especially if it becomes a lost season. You almost want to see, okay, we committed to Ayuk. Do we really want to? But Debo, even if he's healthy and he's very good, he's older now. I mean, why do we got it? Yeah, why are we going to give up picks for 30-year-olds?
It's make a run. I mean, if Russ is going to be good, then they're as good as any team in the AFC. If they can get another wide receiver, I don't care if he's 30, 40, anybody's better than what they have right now.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a run, Debo, Cooper Cup. Get somebody. Let's do this.
I agree. Don't sit idle and do nothing. Get somebody.
So let me ask you a question then. This came up the other day. I think it was like Ray Fittipaldo was asked, what do you think the Steelers' ceiling is if they get a Cooper Cup, for example, type player, let's say, because we don't know that Cup is a done deal. What do you think our ceiling is with somebody like that? And what do you think our ceiling is if we stay like we are right now?
I think sky's the limit if they get a wide receiver that stays healthy. And the AFC is wide open. I think this is a very, very open AFC, and any team can win it.
This is not where we thought we would be in the AFC in the preseason.
Even Kansas City doesn't look good.
No.
They still win, but
yeah.
But this is the season. Me personally, I think their ceiling with a Cooper Cup is they're going to win a playoff game. They're going to get over that hump. The drought's been since 2016.
Yeah.
They're going to get over that hump with Cup. So I say they win a playoff game. Do I dare say they make it to like an AFC championship game? I mean, with this defense, and if the quarterback's legit or still has something left with a Cup added with Pickens, I mean, it's there. But my
Cup
question
stays healthy
is,
and Russ plays good. If Cup stays healthy and Russ plays well, they can make the Super Bowl. They really can.
With this defense, it's all
100%.
It's all about health, honestly. However, we have a banged up O-line, and they haven't faced. I want you to think about this. McCollum and the rest of that crew has not faced a legit D line with multiple good D linemen in a minute. We really haven't. We've gotten lucky. Teams have been injured and everything else.
The Chargers are pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they had a lot of injuries too. So, like, let's not ignore that. Like, I'm saying in general, you face one of these teams with a stout D line with good support from their edge rushers. Let's see how that O-line does then. Well, that's one of my biggest worries, even if you get a Cup. That's why I'm saying I think they could at least win a playoff game with Cup in there too. But Super Bowl, I'm not there yet. We're on our, fourth center?
Well, we get Frazier back in a couple weeks. So, it's not like he's out for the season.
I hope, So I don't know. I'm just
DJ.
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm so thinking about Deontay coming back to the mothership.
It won't happen, but I would love it.
It won't happen.
I don't think it would happen.
Who?
Deontay Johnson.
He can't.
Here's the guy who I think
he can't.
Why can't he?
They're not allowed to trade back for players in the same season.
Oh,
that's right. I think I heard that.
I don't think it's the whole season. I think it's after a certain point.
No, it's the whole season. Period.
It's the whole season.
Yeah. It's the whole season. They cannot trade for him.
Oh well.
The guy I think everybody should keep an eye on, and I know I get the fascination with Cooper Cup, is Darius Slayton. If we beat the Giants, and I think we will, a little preview of my pick. But I think Darius Slayton is a guy who, with Malik Neighbors back now, Wan'Dale Robinson is playing well. You toss a third to a rebuilding team like the Giants, you maybe even get him for a fourth for your third wide receiver. I think that's a possible. Tampa Bay is probably in play for him too because of his relationship with Baker Mayfield.
No, I don't disagree. Slayton would be a good ad. A third rounder, I think they would take it in a heartbeat, though.
I think that's even a little rich for him. I think you could get him for a little less than that. I
think you could too. I would start at fifth or something. I would start, how's it go? Start low and work high or whatever. That's how I would do about it.
The big ask. Look, you're probably going to cut him. We'll give you a 7.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. There you go.
The Mike Williams treatment. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
NSMC says Darius Slayton won't make the same mistake as Devontae Adams to take an opportunity to play for the team that just smoked him. Maybe Devontae Adams wants to, come to the Steelers now. Maybe he's kicking himself a little bit.
Too late.
Yeah, too late.
You're stuck with
such a stupid move by him.
Yeah.
I just.
One last one I want to throw out there is Brandon Cooks. What do you think about him? He's got speed. I know I'm not crazy about it either. He's played for every team in the league except the Steelers. I think.
Miles will check the Steelers off, right?
The one thing I'll say about Brandon Cooks, though, and he's very productive. I like him as a player. I think Dallas is hard to trade with, but number 2, Brandon Cooks is small. I mean, do we really need another 5'9", 5'10" receiver?
Yeah, but at least he's productive, like you said. He makes plays. Wherever he's gone, he's made plays. He's another injury-prone guy too, which concerns me. But
Vaughn's.
I'd rather
right
have him
here.
than Mike Williams.
I agree with Vaughn.
Yeah,
I
Vaughn's
think
right.
Omar
Vaughn's
does
on fire.
play. Yeah, he's not moving off of whatever that is. I agree. I think it's why we didn't get desperate and start making crazy offers for some of these guys that they maybe would have taken, like a Brandon Ayuk or something like that. So David brought up a point a minute ago though about like our offensive line being banged up, and it's true. I mean, we've got injuries all over the place, like crazy amounts of injuries this year. So, we were all focused on the wide receiver because we've got Russ in there and we've got him throwing the ball. And we feel like this has been this missing piece really since the preseason. We were, people were talking about this in the preseason when they traded DJ, who was going to replace him. But is there some other position that we need to be considering more than wide receiver or as much as wide receiver or in addition to wide receiver before the trade deadline?
Well, I think another corner. I know they just promoted C.J. Henderson, but another veteran wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
There's so many question marks with the corners. Like, I'm with Dave. Like, is Trice going to come back and be actually healthy and have an impact? Is Sutton going to come back off suspension? Is he going to be?
That's a good point, Dave. We've made it to the Cam Sutton thing. It's got one more game, right?
Right.
So
they somehow made it.
Yeah, they made it. So it's one of those two things. Are those two going to be able to have an impact that helps? Beanie Bishop, was last week the exception, not the rule, or is he starting to figure things out? And he's been doing all these private video sessions with Mike Tomlin. I don't know if you guys heard his interview, but my man's busting his ass here. Like, he's in that room with Tomlin. You're a defensive player. If there's one guy you want to be, having private lessons with on video and stuff on film, it's Mike Tomlin. So I'm praying that maybe we are starting to see him get better and figure it out. And now maybe they did get a diamond in the rough. And I'm trying not to be biased here because he's a WU guy. I'm just saying, I'm hoping that maybe they're getting lucky here and maybe this kid's figuring it out. If that's the case,
that's what I think we're all hoping for.
If that's the case, that makes that depth look so much better if Trice and Sutton come back healthy.
Yeah.
Then we don't got to worry about it. But that's my point, Dave, with where I agree with you. Can we trust it? Can we, is it really going to be where all three of them are, we'll say, good or feasible out? You know what I'm saying? To have them be the guy, or it doesn't kill us. That's the thing.
We didn't think we were going to be relying on Sutton when we signed him. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't the point.
You were hoping not to.
I disagree. I think they always planned on relying on Sutton.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you think in the slot, though? Do you think that was going to be their slot corner?
As a third corner, I think what will happen is when Sutton's in the game, he will not play the slot. He'll slide outside, and Dante Jackson will move in to the slot. When Sutton's on the field. Yeah, when they play three defensive backs, because if you look, when Sutton was with us before, he was more of a cornerback too when he was on the field. Now, they played him as the third corner a lot, but if you looked at it, he was always on the outside, and he makes plays. I'll give him that, but I just don't.
Traditionally, though, he was better in the slot, though, Bob. In the slot, he always did way better. Early in his career, he played slot, but then they tried to bump him outside.
Early in his career, he was kind of a mess.
And he'd get exposed. But but he was a mess on the outside. When he was inside, though, he seemed to do better. Because I remember
he struggled last year outside with the Lions.
Yeah, I remember outside we were always like, ugh. But inside, it was like, okay, he seems to handle it well. But they kept moving him around a lot, though, too. So that's another thing.
What about Patrick Peterson?
No. I'll throw a big name at you who I think is gettable. It would be an investment, but it's probably worth it. Marshawn Latimer from New Orleans. New Orleans is tanking hard.
I do that.
Yeah, and now you want to start talking about giving up a second-round pick? Give me a 28-year-old Pro Bowl cornerback, and it would make our defense even higher paid, but, I mean, my gosh, if you put Latimer, Joey Porter, and Dante Jackson out there, and then you got Beanie Bishop and Cam Sutton as the dime, that might become the legendary defense. Yeah.
The no-fly zone, for no doubt.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of him. That would be something.
I wonder if he's – I mean, I know you think he's – I wonder, like, realistically, do you know what I mean, what they'd be willing to let him go for.
Green Bay is pressing for him, by the way.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
that's a rumored trade that they want to make because
No
they
shit.
don't feel like their cornerbacks are as good as they can be. So if he's realistically, if the Saints are willing to listen, I mean, yes, I get it. We need a wide receiver, but man, that locks up corners because he's got a potential out at the end of the year. But even still, he is under contract for 2 more years for about $21 million next year and only 10 in his last year.
Wow.
Assuming you don't do the potential out. I think you'd have to re-sign him if you got him. But yeah, I would love a guy like that to pair with Joey Porter for the next 3 or 4 years. Then I think we can be the defensive Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
No, that'd be a definitely swinging for the fences kind of move. That would be legit. No, I like.
Tomlin likes his defensive players too. I wouldn't put it past him.
And that's what's funny is that honestly, Bob, that's probably more realistic of what they would do. Instead of going and getting a wide receiver, they'd be like, "Nah, we're good. Yeah. We'll go get another big defensive
Don't
guy."
make me watch Van Jefferson for the rest of the season, please, God.
So,
I mean,
Bleacher Reports, Alex Ballantine said that they should trade Lattimore. They should ask for at least a 3rd-round pick. But in this article, they're arguing that maybe he's not even worth that much. I guess he's got some health issues too that they're worried about. So,
Jesus Christ, if they could get him for a 3rd, I'd be doing cartwheels.
For a 3rd sounds pretty reasonable to me. I think that that's something that would be reasonable. The thing about the wide receivers is I know we need one, but if there isn't one to get, do you know what I mean? I've said it like 6 times on this show now. Every time we talk that we don't need any more bodies. We've got a whole room full of bodies. Do you know what I mean? We need actual got all the depth we need. We need actual talent that, we can partner with Pickens. And so if that isn't available to us, it's why we don't need the guy from the Jets, Mike Williams. You know what I mean? We don't need a warm body with his old granny back coming to our team.
Right. I agree.
If I'm going to take a swing at a wide receiver who's on the street versus, giving up draft capital, bring Michael Thomas in. I think he's just as good as Mike Williams. And remember, a couple of years ago, he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. And last year with the Saints, the second half of the year, he wasn't that bad. He was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. I agree with Anna Lee about getting the big name receiver. I'm just not sure who it is. Do you know what I mean? I guess I keep going back to that. I mean, we're at this weird place in the season now where the people who have really solid receivers and they're doing well aren't letting them go. And those other big names have already been traded, or signed in the case of Brandon Ayuk. So,
well, I think it's a good point that they're kind of stuck because they can't. Excuse me, they can't give up a 4th or a 6th because of the Fields thing. Yeah. So, and I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't know what picks they have. Like, I don't know if they have a 7th, a 5th, on top. So, like negotiating, it's like shit. I can only do 1st, 2nd, 3rd, then it skips to 5th or 7th. Yeah. So that does kind of limit them a little bit. But I don't disagree with Anna. Like I would like to see them go get somebody. It's just that, gosh, man, a 2nd-round pick on a guy like Kupp is really gambling. Like, can you imagine you give up that pick, you get him, and 2 games later he's injured?
No, I mean, but I keep thinking about Brandon Ayuk. What if we had done that? Do you know what I mean? What if we had done that and then he did his ACL?
That's a good point.
I don't know if you guys heard Mike Florio, and he said it on his show, and he also said it on his PM team appearance. There's a thought out there that Garrett Wilson is available for a 1st. That is a really interesting possibility.
The Jets wouldn't. They're not that dumb, are they?
They kind of are. Well, remember, Garrett Wilson is eligible for a contract at the end of this year, just like George Pickens. There's some thought of, we got a lot of money we're going to invest in Devontae. Do we really need 2 number 1s?
Well, to answer Dave's question, they did give 30. Danny Dimes how much money? Right. They are that dumb.
They are that dumb.
Well, that was the Giants, not the Jets.
I'm sorry. The Jets. The Jets. I'm sorry.
That's right.
That would leave them with just Devontae Adams, who's 30-something, and
Alan Lazard. Who's another Aaron Rodgers guy. And they get to keep Mike Williams.
Yeah, they can have him.
I
have Mike Williams.
Talk me into it, but.
All right, let's move on a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit before we get into the game preview, and this will kind of bleed over into the game preview. But But Broderick Jones, and we've talked about this before, but I want to kind of continue on. I think we saw that he looked a little bit better in the game against the Jets. Do you know what I mean? We saw some improvement. I think we definitely all still feel like he's got room to grow. When we did our good, bad, and the ugly segment earlier this week, he was my bad, I think, or my ugly, one of those not good ones. So, I mean, he definitely, is just not where we think he should be. What do you guys see from him? Do you think he's fixing whatever the problem is? Do you think he's hurt? Do you think there's something else going on here?
I mean, I personally, I think there's part of him that is checked out, and he's very much of the opinion of, I got the 4th round pick who refuses under any circumstances to play any other position on the offensive line, and he got rewarded with my position, and I had to learn another position, which I'm frankly not as good at as I was at left tackle. And I know I listened to Zach in prep last night talk about how, his hand, he's swimming with his hands. Yeah, because he played left tackle all his life, and now he's trying to learn another position, so he doesn't know where to put his hands, not to mention the fact
that isn't some of this just football? I mean, for Christ's sake, Christian Kuntz was a linebacker and is a long snapper now. Like, sometimes you have to adapt. You know what I mean?
No,
so isn't some of this football?
And in playing offensive line, especially tackle, there are techniques you learn on the left side and that you have to learn on the right side. It is not as easy as swapping positions. And if you want evidence of that, the 4th round draft pick who they said tried but was so bad they can't play him anywhere else.
Yeah, except it's not fair to compare the athletic talent of a Dan Moore to a Broderick Jones. Do you know what I mean? It was supposed to be the whole
reason.
He's
an NFL player. Everybody says he's better now.
I get it, but he's still a 4th round pick. I mean, his ceiling is still his ceiling. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't a 1st round pick for a reason because he doesn't have that talent. And Omar Khan supposedly picked these 2 guys because of their ability to, in part, because of their ability to be flexible.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't draft him to be flexible. Don't get it twisted. They drafted Broderick Jones to play left tackle. They did not draft him to play all over the line. And they didn't draft Troy Fatanu to play left tackle, even though he was.
Right. But we knew that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You don't spend 1st round picks on guys you hope are flexible and can
so how do we
position.
fix that? He's just broken. I mean, this is every week this is the complaint, but how do we fix that? He's just broken. He's a bust.
Yeah, here's the thing I'm noticing with him. It's not even just his arms, it's his footwork too. I've seen him multiple times get faked out on the fish and swim or the duck under move. There's so many different moves I see him get faked out on because of his feet too. His feet are not right as well, side to side. Or if he gets bull rushed, he gets knocked back almost on his ass. Like he's just not ready for it. And then you see him not even know what the fucking play is. You see him stand there. He lets the guy run past him. And he's standing there looking around like, what the fuck is going on? Yes. Right. He's standing there going, what the fuck is going on? This is not just about talent or there's so many things involved with this with him, why he's struggling. It's either the work he's putting in, or maybe he did check out, Bob, or, he's not in his right position. I think it's a combination of multiple things. If he's not comfortable in his position,
Dave. He's lost his confidence.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I think you guys are all right. Like, I think it's all of it. That's why he's looked so bad.
He's played left tackle his whole career.
Correct. And now you've got him playing right tackle, and he's not comfortable in it. Plus,
and a very short career in college, too.
That's what I was going to say.
Don't forget, he didn't
play
play
a lot. We talked about
it
last week.
Very good point.
Like, it came easy to him in college. That was his natural position. He was with a bunch of great linemen. It was just easy for him. Now he's, for the first time probably in his life, he's being tested. And is tested in a different position unexpectedly, and he's not reacting well to it. You could see it. He's lost confidence. Because he played right tackle a little bit last year, and at least run blocking wise, he was competent. He's not even that anymore.
Well, I wonder if what Zach was saying about the way he uses his arms has to do with the injury. Like, I was wondering if maybe that's why he uses his arms the way he does. But I'm telling you, when he gets bull rush and he has to put them arms out, those arms collapse easily, and he loses his balance and about falls on his ass. And then if they do fish and swim, his footwork looks horrendous. He gets faked out. It's bad. Coming out of
Mark's
college
right about the
was erratic footwork and posture. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mark. Yeah.
But he was such a good athlete that he got away with stuff in college.
I wonder though, was he drafted higher than he should have been? Because Bob's right, he
I
did
think it's
have a
clear
very
now.
limited playing career in college. And we talked about this before about Darnell Washington saying how these guys look better because everybody around them is so good. You know what I mean? You don't have to give max effort at a school like Georgia. Hey, Zach!
Hey, let me know if there's loud music in the background you can't hear. I'm trying to walk away from the stage since everything is going well there.
So if you're watching, Zach's wife, Honey, is a musician, and Zach is at the show tonight handling her sound. So he's jumping in to join us for a second. We're glad to see him.
I am. So what take are we talking about at the moment that I'm missing?
About Roger Jones and how he's struggling and still struggling, and what exactly is going on with him.
I know I talked about this just a little bit in prep, but the biggest thing I noticed when I watched the L-22 wasn't the missed tackles. It wasn't the fact that he chooses when to give up on plays, because we knew that. I specifically watched his arms because Trey Ash was talking about it. A couple people were talking about the fact that they haven't seen a lineman use his arms like that, and he's not blocking up. He's swinging outward. It's this weird, swim attempt that makes him have to go with his head. It's a very strange technique that I don't know if it's because he's not sure what he's doing at that time, but that was very concerning to me when I looked at that specifically, that even from an amateur point, that's a bad technique. I shouldn't be able to know if your technique's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's almost like he never played right tackle before. He's playing on the wrong side. I don't know what's so hard to understand about this.
So do you believe if we switched him to the other side of the field, all of his problems would be magically fixed and he'd be 100%?
Not now, but if they'd done it at the beginning of the season, I think, yeah.
And bear in mind, he's gotten to play one game at his natural position against the Baltimore Ravens, and he dominated.
Yeah.
He dominated. He was awesome that one game. Why they ever went back, I don't understand.
Zach, you're blaring pretty good, bud.
That's loud.
Okay, well, I will see you guys in a bit, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me jump in for a second. Replace Broderick.
All right.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care, buddy.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.